You wake up when someone knocks on your bedroom door.
Okay.
The sun is rising through the window, and as soon as you open your eyes even a little bit, the sunlight kind of glares down at you, and you have to squint against it. But the knock keeps coming. It's getting more insistent. Monsieur?
I guess I get up.
You get up, and someone rolls over in bed next to you.
I glance over.
It's Leander. He is still asleep, but by the looks of it, he is trying desperately to stay that way. He's got like a pillow pulled over his head.
That's a mood. I learned my lesson last time about touching him and waking him up, so I'm gonna let him sleep. Because he's cute.
He is extremely cute when he's sleeping, especially when he's got a pillow pulled over his head.
Right? I grab a robe, throw it around my shoulders, and go over toward the door.
You open the door. There's a dainty little servant staring up at you, and she says, "Oh, thank goodness. I didn't want to have to get any louder." And she nervously says, "You have been invited to the ball in Halam Shirel tomorrow evening. We need to start preparing."
Really?
She says, "Yes, you were expecting this, no? There was some confusion over getting the proper arrangement set, but of course the Empress would never deign to ignore you, not since, you know." And she glances past you at Leander and then back up at you.
Pardon?
She says, since you saved the world.
Okay, so Tessa, does that feel like something I remember doing, or what the fuck?
Go ahead and roll willpower self-discipline for me. So with a 13, Elian, yeah, a little bit. You remember there was definitely a thing where you had to save the world, or you were trying to save the world. It takes you a minute. Maybe you're just sleepy. You know what? Maybe that's what this is. Maybe you just haven't woken up all the way, because surely it was the Blight, right? Like, you saved the world from the Blight. That was what was happening, and then you did it, right?
Okay. I guess I'll roll with that then. Sorry. I just kind of shake my head. Long night.
She says, "Yes, I imagine so." She comes shuffling in. She has a big stack of papers in her hands. She says, "I know it's been a while since you have been back in the game, the proper game, so I got you a little bit of a refresher course. All the new lords and ladies of court that you might need to know. It is a matter of life and death. I'm sure you're well acquainted." And she sets the stack of paper down. And then finally, Leander lifts his head up. His hair is a rat's nest. He has bags under his eyes, and he says, "Go away!" And the servant puts both hands on their hips, and she says, "Master Leander, this is no way to talk to you." And he throws a pillow at her, and she has to dodge it. And she's like, "All right, fine. I'll go get your breakfast then, shall I? I'll be back in a little while." Honestly, unbelievable. These Devinters, I swear. And she bustles out the door and closes it behind her. And Leander finally sits up and yawns loudly.
You could have been nicer to her.
He says, "I don't like mornings." And then he scoots over and he rubs his eyes. He says, "What's all this?"
Homework.
For what?
Got an invitation to the ball in Halam Shirel tonight?
Oh, pass. Hard pass.
But think of the outfits you could wear.
The most Orlesian response.
He says, "Look, I love you. I support you in your weird, specific endeavors. But tranquil or not, I think it's literally impossible for me to care about fashion as much as you do."
But think of how people will look at me with you on my arm. And I bat my eyes.
Yes, the Tevinter ex-slave mage. I'm sure that they'll love that. And he scoots out of bed and stands up. He says, "You could just, ditch and stay with me and have sex all day. You could also do that. That's just a thing that you could do."
You know my weak points, but you know how hard I've been working on this.
It's we have been married for 3 years now. I think by now.
I feel like I just steal a kiss and then, before he can pull me into anything, slip out of his arms to look at papers.
And right before you pull away entirely, when you pull back, he is smiling at you. And it is a bright, dazzling smile. Go ahead and roll willpower self-discipline again.
Ooh.
It is the smile that kind of sets it off for you, because you realize you've never seen him smile. And you remember that because he's tranquil. How can you be married? He broke up with you a week ago.
Yeah, that's true. I think Elian just kind of goes still.
His face falls a little bit. He says, "What's wrong?"
I'm not. I don't know. Something's not right.
He says, "With the ball? I can name like 20 things that are wrong with the ball."
No.
Shall I go alphabetically or chronologically?
No.
If you really want to get into it, we can go all the way back to early Orlesian history when they enslaved the Dales.
It's not fucking Orlais. No, it's. I feel like Elian's just kind of like squinting now. Like, can't really put it into words, I don't think. You're not still tranquil.
He says, "I haven't been tranquil in years. What are you talking about?"
I don't know. This never had that feeling at the back of your mind that like something isn't right.
I think maybe you just need to go back to bed. How about that? Why don't we have a lie-in? Once Eleanor brings in the food, we can just spend all day in bed. And then if you really insist, he says, and he collapses very dramatically onto the bed. He says, "If you really insist, I'll go be your arm candy to this party or whatever."
God, Elian's so conflicted because that, like, on the one hand, yes. On the other hand, I'm the one who flops dramatically in this relationship.
Wow. That's what got you?
He says, "You really should have thought of that before you broke my tranquility, babe."
Oh, there is not enough room in this relationship for both of us to be dramatic. So I honestly don't know what would win out, his suspicion or his general hedonism.
Leander sort of props himself up on his elbows and he says, "Come on, come back to bed. You'll feel much better after another hour of sleep or so."
Okay, I set the papers aside.
And he holds one hand out as if beckoning you back to bed, and midway through that gesture, his hand freezes in mid-motion, and so does all of Leander, and so does, like, there's a bird outside the window that stops mid-flight, and the whole world around you just sort of freezes, and then you hear a voice from behind you say, "You know this is not real, right?"
I whirl around.
It's Compassion. His hands are glowing with magic, and he says, "We're in the you called it what's the thing that you called it?"
Fade?
Yes, that. We're in that.
I thought this was too good to be true.
Cassandra,
Yes.
you wake up as soon as sunlight hits your face.
Of course I do. I am military.
You are lying on a sort of firm mattress with a thin sheet, and you hear someone singing. Shadow falls and hope has fled.
That is extremely bizarre, and I'm going to look for this person.
You look around, you are in a it's a nice bedroom. It's large, but it's not decadent. It has all of the essentials. It has an armoire with clothes. It has a standing mirror. It has a table and a small desk with writing utensils covered in books and paper. There's a large bookcase along one wall. And sitting at a vanity is Mae Varys in a pale blue dressing gown, styling her hair.
I sort of like blink and... May?
She looks over her shoulder. "Oh, Milila, good morning. How did you sleep?"
I sort of like blink at her again and, Kadan, I think I'm still sleeping.
"I should certainly hope not. It's going to make the rest of the day a lot more difficult." She sticks this very simple but elegant silver pin to hold her hair up, and she says, "You have to meet with the rest of the triumvirate today."
I do?
Mm-hmm. The Arishok and the Aragena both sent word they're meeting at the usual time, but they're doing it in the rotunda room this time. Apparently, there's some repair work being done in the usual meeting room. So, and she spritzes a bit of perfume on her neck.
Delightful. I love it so much. I'm still staring at her like, I don't remember this on the schedule. Oh, I must be very, very tired. What did we do last night?
She shoots you a look over her shoulder. She says, well, it wasn't super restful.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
But, we both knew going into this relationship that you were going to sacrifice a little bit to do everything that you wanted to do. She stands up and she heads over to you and offers to help you stand up out of bed.
Oh, I definitely take her hand for sure.
And she adjusts your nightclothes and she says, and may I just say, I am so proud of you, Melila. Everything you've done, all of your accomplishments. And now here you are, my darling, my love, Arakyun.
Oh my god! I was wondering, I was like, why did you only mention 2? Does that mean I'm shit? Okay, wow. Oh god. Okay, yeah. So that, I just stare at her what?
She says, yes, don't you remember?
And I'm still staring at her wait. I'd be trying to recall, really? Me?
Roll willpower self-discipline. Oh, 15. Yeah. So what occurs to you first is that, you are not Arakyun. You're just not. You were a Cerebos. You're not anymore. Something is very wrong here.
Yeah. I just sort of look at her and I'm like, May, what are you talking about? Me, the Arakyun.
She says, yes. Remember? There was that horrible blight, but we recruited everyone and we fought back the archdemons, and then with everything we learned, we battled back into the deep roads itself and destroyed the old gods where they lay hibernating. You ended the blight forever. And she giggles and she says, that's how I'm still here. And she reaches up and she brushes a hand through your hair, trying to finger comb the worst of the sleep away from it. And she says, and then after the dust had settled, you and your father joined forces and you changed the Kyun for the better.
Now I know that I am dreaming because that is not possible, May.
She sighs delicately and she says, it could be if you just relax.
But it is not.
She says, but it could be. She says, she grabs both of your hands and she says, just sit back down, relax. I'll go and have some breakfast brought to you. And it can be real as it needs to be.
I just look at her very sadly, but it's not real, May.
She sighs, are you really going to fight me, Melila?
I am. I'm just pouting yeah.
Fuck, yeah, I will, I guess. Before Mayveris, or obviously, you're sure now, it's no longer Mayveris. Before that, before she even comes up with a response, the bedroom door flies open and Faith comes stumbling in, looking still shabby and everything. She's like, it's not real, it's not... Oh, you figured it out.
Hello, Faith. Yeah, I got it.
Sabre,
Yes.
you wake up when someone kisses your forehead.
I grab for my spear.
Kinky. You reach for your spear, but you don't have a spear at your bedside because you're not on a bed. You feel hard wood underneath your feet, and there is a great slash of red over top of you, and you realize you're in an Aravel. And the one who has just kissed you on the forehead is Lennon. He says, old habits, huh?
Yeah, have you seen my spear?
He says, it's in the armaments, Aravel, like it's been for the past 4 months.
Huh. Yeah. Okay.
He sits up. The first thing that you notice about Lannon is that he has a Valisline. It is a different Valisline than the one that you remember him from the first time you met him. It is similar, though. It's got the trunk of... It's like Mythal's tree with the trunk on his nose and the branches up his head, but the roots go down his chin and his throat, and because he is currently shirtless, you can see it goes across his chest and his one arm. And the other arm, it circles around quite prominently, and it seems to be, the Valisline on him seems to be creating a magical left arm for him. It's slightly transparent, it's pale blue, but he uses it like a regular hand, he says. We have to get ready, we're going to be moving the clan south.
I have a very important question for you. How hot does he look with the Valisline?
Oh my god!
It is so... It's never really canonically established, but in my head, it has always been that, like, Valisline are iterated upon for major life milestones. Like, there's a part you add on your hand when you get married. There's a part you add on, like, your chest when you have a child. Like, for every major mile marker, it gets iterated upon, and they can get quite complex and very beautiful. And this is not only, like, obviously it has some magical properties because it's creating this glowing hand for him, but also it's, like, beautiful. Like, it's a work of art. It's actually quite stunning.
So super hot is the answer.
This is like Val. It seems right? I'm like, yeah, that sounds more or less right that he has this.
Yep. You can at any point you want to make a willpower self-discipline check, or if you feel like Sabri is too much of a dummy, you can also not do that if you want to.
A dummy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm staring at him, and I sort of like catch myself and shake my head and say, I guess it just surprises me every time I look at it.
He looks at you in confusion and then down at himself, and he says, "Oh, right. Yeah. It was kind of intense getting it, but, I mean, you did a good job."
Did you just say I did a good job?
Yep. That is exactly what he said.
Okay.
If you want to say, like, what do I recall about this, that's a question that you can ask.
Yes, I would like to say, what do I recall about that?
Oh boy, that's funny.
Oh no, that tracks.
So yeah, with the 7, oh yeah, you remember now. Yeah, definitely. So you remember after you saved the world from the blight, you remember doing that kind of vaguely. You remember Lennon coming to you talking about how he had this idea for a Valisline that was infused with magic that he could use like a rune, basically like you know what runes are. Runes are things that you carve onto weapons and armor that augment them magically. But he was going to take that principle and apply it to a Valisline. And it was a big emotional thing for you. Like, he wanted you to do it, to remark his skin, to remark him as Dalish, and in the process, give him use of a second arm. So he made the design, but you were the one who actually marked his skin for him. And it was actually quite emotionally intense. You remember doing that. Like, someone cried. It was probably Lennon. It was Lennon. Lennon cried.
I sort of shake my head out of, like, because I think I was, like, lost in thought. So I shake my head and look up at him and go, are we late for something?
He says, I wouldn't say late, but we do need to get the clan moving. We're headed south. And he says, and you know, there's 2 pregnant hollow that we've got to deal with now, so you know that's going to slow us up. And he, like, tugs his shirt on and he scoots out of the Aravel.
Okay. I follow after him.
You follow out of him. It is a beautiful day. You're in some sort of forest. At a guess, you probably think maybe the Brazilian forest, but you're not 100% sure. There are about 7 or 8 Aravels all around you, and you can see a couple people are already up and awake. Ren is there. Zevran is there. Naya, that little Dalish girl that you met in Minrathis, is there. And also, Keeper Virana is there too. She is helping Naya cook. Like, when I say helping, like, she is doing it for her and letting Naya add the salt sometimes, maybe.
And as a result, it will be inedible. Also, I guess I don't know. I guess I walk over to Ren and Zevran.
Ren and Zevran are talking animatedly, and they are entertaining another little kid that's there. Or Ren is. Zevran is indulging him. Zevran looks extremely happy, and Ren also looks extremely happy.
I feel like there is some small part of me to be like, that doesn't sound right. Everyone's so happy.
Happy? What the fuck? I don't know how to do that. Do you want to make another willpower self-discipline? You each get max 2.
I'll try. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, with the 12, you get a little weird niggling suspicion, like, how is this? But then you remember, oh, right, no, I remember now. There was some magic that Lennon used and successfully separated the Archdemon from Ren, and now he's fine. Yeah.
Yep, okay, fair enough. I think I walk up to Ren and I say, how are things going today?
Ren, the kid is now climbing on his back, and he says, well, I think we are going to take this little one on his first hunt. What do you say, buddy?
Oh, don't go hunting with Ren. He's no good.
Don't you listen to that filthy, lying liar.
Come on, Zevran, tell him how bad he is. He's really bad at hunting. Don't listen to him.
And as you are in the middle of this extremely placid scene, all of it sort of freezes around you, and the voice from behind you says, all right, that's quite enough of that.
I spin around to face, I'm assuming it's Justice, and I recognize
It's Justice.
the voice.
Yep, and he's got both his hands on his hips, and he says, like, I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised that you were taken in by this. No offense.
Taken in by... What is going on?
He goes over and, like, thumps you on the head with his knuckles, and he says, you're in the
Ow.
Fade, idiot.
Oh, creators. I, like, stare around, and I'm like, why is it every time? I hate this place.
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, but you are a little bit of a dumbass.
Well, that's just fucking rude, so excuse you.
He says, look, we really need to get out of here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to be... Well, I think I look kind of longingly around at everything else. And then I shake my head and I'm like, no, I don't want to be here. It's magic, you know. Ugh.
Justice says, yeah, whatever you gotta tell yourself, big guy. Elian.
Yeah.
So Compassion comes over and he like grabs you by the elbow and he says, okay, well, we really need to get going now. I think we should be able to get out this way. And he heads toward the bedroom door. He says, but you're going to have to be the one to do it. You're going to have to want to leave because we're in your head mostly.
I feel like Elian just casts a longing glance back over at the frozen scene, but...
Yeah, I mean, Leander is still there and he's still got that arm stretched out like he's reaching for you.
I think Elian just squeezes his eyes shut and reaches for the door.
You reach for the door, you pull it open, and suddenly you are in Minrathis. You can tell at once. The city is dark, lit only by the magical lamps sprinkled through the city and the occasional shafts of golden firelight through the windows of some homes and taverns. All the sounds are familiar to you now, the bush crickets, the distant hooting of owls, the far-off sound of the Notion Sea. The scene is so placid that you're kind of taken by surprise when Dorian suddenly bolts around the corner and straight past you. Come back here, lordling, taunts a drawling voice, and Tiefin, if you had to guess, our orders are to capture you, not kill you. We won't hurt you much. Dorian doesn't answer. He dives into an alleyway near you, behind a large stack of barrels, and tries desperately to catch his gasping breath. He's injured, you can see now that he's stopped, with one large gash running up his dominant arm. He's gripping at it to stem the bleeding, but with his pounding heart, he'll need more than pressure. Fastavus, he hisses. The tenor of his voice rests somewhere between frantic, terrified, and heartbroken. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know where to go. His mind is racing. Your Lord Father is paying us extra to keep you unharmed, the taunting voice continues from somewhere nearby. But if you keep being difficult, we're going to have to do this the hard way. Dorian squints his eyes shut tight. He's crying, though he doesn't have time to acknowledge it. When he hears footsteps draw closer, he clasps a hand over his mouth and tries to stifle his heavy breathing. He doesn't seem to notice you. Compassion is still next to you, Elian. He is sort of looking around and he says, I don't think he realizes it either.
Is that really him?
I mean, yeah, I think so. He's also trapped, just like you were. I was trying to navigate you to the nearest friend of yours, and I think we might have stumbled into him.
Okay. I think Elian's gonna go over to where Dorian's hiding.
Dorian sees you, and his eyes widen. He, frantically backs up against the wall, and his hand lights up with magic, and he says, Not another step! Not another step!
Whoa, 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 whoa! My hands fly up. Dorian, it's...
I won't let him take me! Do you hear me? I won't let him take me!
I'm not with him. I'm on your side. Friends.
He says, What? I've never seen you before in my life. Who are you? Did my father send you?
No. Dorian, this isn't...
Lordling! Come out now, Lord Pavis.
Dorian, this isn't real. We're in the Fade.
Go ahead and make a willpower faith roll. So you reach out to him and you say, Dorian, we're in the Fade, like you're desperately trying to convince him. And he stares at you in confusion. He says, What? The Fade? What are you talking about?
None of this is real. It's...
What do you mean it's not real? My father is trying to kill me!
That might have been real. I don't know. But it's like a dream, almost? I don't know.
He says, Who are you? Why do I recognize you? Pavis! Come out.
I'm Elian. You saved me from slavery. You and Maevaris Talani.
Maevaris?
You found Lucerni.
Lucerni? He shuts his eyes tightly, and he's like, you can see him searching the recesses of his memory. And right before that, there is an explosion from the right side. The barrels that he had been hiding behind suddenly go flying in all directions. Dorian whirls around. His hand is lighting up with magic again. There is a band of about 3 people. You can tell, like, just by looking at them. They're like bounty hunters or mercenaries or something. And they are all armed to the teeth. And the one in the front says, "Come now, young Master Pavis. We don't have time for your theatrics. Your father just wants you home." And the magic in Dorian's hand grows brighter. He says, "I will not go back to that monster and let him perform dark magic on me. I will not! I will not!" And suddenly there's an explosion of magic in all directions. Cassandra, you are talking to Faith, who is honestly kind of impressed that you figured it out this easily. She's like, "Oh wow, I was expecting to have to like talk you out of, like, this isn't real. You gotta reach into yourself and find the truth inside your heart. But you totally got this, huh?"
I just like put a hand on her shoulder, and I'm like, "Yeah, it was too good to be real. I don't have that kind of faith."
Wow, that's kind of depressing. She takes your hand, she is so much smaller than you.
Right, she's so tiny.
She's like 5'4", and she reaches into your hand and she holds it very tightly, and she says, "Look, just because this isn't real doesn't mean it couldn't be. But I'm not trying to say that, like, let's stay here forever. We gotta go. Your friends are in danger."
It could be real, that's true. And I want it to, but you're right. There are things more important than that right now.
She says, "Yeah, and then maybe when you dream tonight, we'll, like, unpack this whole thing, and I'll try to, like, talk you through it and everything, but like I said, your friends are in danger, we need to go." And she's, like, gripping your hand really tightly, and she comes up to the door, and she says, "You've got to be the one to open it. You have to want to go."
And I look back at May, and
Mayveris, who is not frozen because you passed the check, she is staring at you, and she says, "Melila, please, this can be real if you just stay with me."
longingly I stare at her and then say, "I hope that it will be real, Kadan, but I have to go." And I open the door.
You open the door. You are in a dark cellar, and Fenris is screaming, "Sir, can we not do something about this awful racket?" The voice is a woman's, the accent distinctly Tavine. "Knock him out, maybe?" "Unfortunately not. Not this close to the head. I need to know immediately if he loses consciousness. He wouldn't want this all to be for nothing, now would we?" You come walking out of the darkness, and you're in a laboratory, not so dissimilar from the one in the Pavis estate, though much larger. There's a team of 6 or 7 mages crisscrossing the room with small glass vials and bottles of lyrium, and in the center, strapped down to a table, is Fenris, screaming in agony. For a moment, you're not sure what you're seeing, and then you are. This is the day it happened. This is the day he got his lyrium brands. You didn't expect it to be so bloody. And it is bloody. Even from a distance, you can see how the procedure is conducted. The magister bent over him is literally slicing into his skin and sewing up veins of mineralized lyrium under the top 2 layers of his flesh. The agony must be... How is Fenris even still alive? "But the screaming, Magister," the woman says. "Enough, Hadriana. Hand me the next vial." The woman, Hadriana, sighs delicately and hands the Magister a bottle, who takes it between his teeth and carves into Fenris's right arm with a long, precise slash. Fenris screams. No one looks at you. Faith, next to you, puts a hand over her mouth and just, "Oh my god."
I had no idea that this is terrible, seeing it.
She says, He's trapped like you're trapped. We've got to find a way to get through to him."
Oh, all right, I'll try. I don't know how, but I will try.
So you walk up to the table, and no one seems to acknowledge your presence. Like, they just keep on with the procedure, talking quietly to each other, about what they're doing and getting ready for the next steps, that kind of thing. And you approach Fenris, and his eyes are bloodshot. There's tears just streaming down his face. He stares at you, but it's not clear if he is seeing you.
Oh, man. Okay. Whew. I just stare at him and say, Fenris, can you hear me? Fenris, focus on me.
He doesn't really stop screaming. It deteriorates from outright, like, horrible wailing shrieks to sort of desperate, like, crying and grunting and staring at you and straining against the bonds.
And I am still just staring directly at him. I'm like, Fenris, you don't have to relive this. It's done.
He is staring up at you. He says, it hurts less if I stay still.
I know, you said you were in pain and you've never imagined a life without it, but you don't have to relive it again. It's not real. It's over.
I can't. If I move, it'll be so much worse.
Oh my god, okay. My heart's breaking here, but it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm crying. Oh boy. Yeah, and now I'm like frantic, like, Fenris, we're in the Fade. This is already done. The markings are done.
Roll willpower faith for me, Cassandra. So you are desperately trying to get through to him, but Fenris, he as much as he can with his head strapped to this table, he shakes his head. He says, no, don't ask me to, please. It hurts so much.
I just like look desperately at Faith, like, he's not listening. What can I do?
Faith comes up beside you and she says, I may be able to force his consciousness out of here, but it's going to take a lot out of him. He'll be kind of delirious for a few hours after he wakes up.
Is there no other way? Can't I just explode everything here?
She says, well, I mean, you can, but you risk a little bit more than you realize. Remember, we're in Fenris's head.
That is definitely not something I want to do, then.
She reaches out and reassuringly squeezes your hand, like, it's going to be okay.
And I just, like, look at her like, obviously he doesn't think it's going to be okay. And looking around at all of this, it wasn't okay what they did to him.
She says, do you want me to force him out?
That's the only way. He won't listen. He thinks it's still happening.
She says, okay. And she bends over Fenris and she says, I'm really sorry about this. And she puts 2 fingers on his forehead. Sabre, Justice has put a sort of, it's almost like a paternal or like a brotherly hand on the back of your neck, but he's like steering you away from the camp. And he says, listen, I don't think you remember the last couple minutes leading up to this, but I do. And all your friends are in a lot of danger, so we need to get out of here.
What? Why? Where are they? Can we rescue them?
They're also trapped, like you were. But they're not quite as happy as you.
Okay, that's enough. Thank you. Let's just move on.
He points to a large path that leads out, and he says, you have to go. You have to be the one to make us leave.
What does that mean?
It means you have to want to leave this place.
I think I turned to him and I said, my friends are in danger, right?
He says, yes, quite a bit of danger.
And I look longingly one more time at the camp, and then I start sprinting out of there.
You find yourself in a chantry, large and echoing, empty at the end of a service. Sunlight filters down through the rose window. Through the still open double doors, you can see a crowd filing into a city. Zephyrin stands in the aisle, staring venomously at a statue of Andraste, her arms outstretched as if beckoning him to embrace her. A young man, a human, sandy blonde hair, dressed in regal golden armor, puts his hand on Zephyrin's shoulders. They are the only ones in the chantry at the moment. Are you going to the funeral? It's just outside the city. Zephyrin opens his mouth to answer, shuts it, and turns to look back at the man, who sees something in the elf's face that makes him flinch away in regret. Take your time, he says to Zephyrin. I'll wait to give the speech until you're there. He turns on a heel and strides away, shiny steel armor rattling with each step. The doors close thunderously behind him, heralding a sudden silence. Zephyrin returns his furious gaze to Andraste, arms still outstretched toward him, still beckoning. What was the point? He asks, voice breaking on the last word. He tries again. What was the point of all of this? Of this whole ugly affair? The chantry says you abandoned us, that we must earn back your attention and your love. I'm not sure I believe that anymore. For where I'm standing, you're a thug. He walks slowly toward the end of the aisle. How many lives have to be lost before your wrath is spent, Maker? How many times does my heart have to break before the pain of it is equal to my sins? Gratias tibiago, Domine. Yes, I've killed. It was a sin. So you punish Ren for it? He never lifted a blade if not in defense of another. And what of Rina? What was she? A warning shot? Why should they have to suffer for my sins, you feckless, bloodthirsty little man? At least kill me too! Or are you too much of a coward to strike me down yourself? There's no answer, of course, to his desperate shouting. But the silence does feel especially cruel. Zevran breathes out, sinks onto a pew, and pulls a hip flask off his belt. Cruciatus in crucem, he whispers. Ren deserved better. The world deserved better. I'm not going to waste my time and my breath begging for forgiveness from a vicious tyrant. He takes a swig from his flask, then throws it hard at the statue of Andraste. It clatters loudly, brandy splattering across stone. Zevran falls forward, knots his hands in his hair, and weeps. Cruciatus in crucem, he whispers. Ias in crucem! If there's any mercy in your black little heart, just let it be over. Just let me die. How arrogant he feels in that moment, blaspheming the Maker in his own house, and how arrogant the Maker must be to answer his lifetime of pain and anguish and death with silence. Faith slips away from him like water through cupped hands. Ren is gone, and nothing matters. Justice puts a hand on your back. He's trapped, he says, like you were trapped.
This is a much less pleasant experience.
You're gonna have to try to... Creators only know.
I step forward and call into the center. Zevran.
He doesn't answer.
I'm gonna stride forward into the center and try to shake him by the shoulders.
He slaps your hand away. Do not touch me!
Zevran, look at me.
He does not.
I'm not good at subtlety. I'm gonna grab his fucking face and try to force him to look at me.
He is staring at you like he's considering whether or not he should just land a right hook to your jaw.
It might make you feel better. Do it.
He grits his teeth, but he does not hit you, at least not yet.
Zevran, this is a trap. You're trapped in your past. This is not now. This is not real. Come with me. We must get out of here. There are people in danger. Ren is in danger.
Roll willpower faith for me. As soon as you say the name Ren, he shoves at you, hard. So hard you go staggering backward into a pew. Don't you dare say his name to me! Don't you dare!
You're not the only one he was important to.
Where the hell were you if you cared so much for him? Where were you when he made that blow? Where were you at the Battle of Denerim? You don't know. You know nothing. Do not speak to me with such presumption.
I was 14. Now get up and come with me, you coward.
Zevran actually draws a knife.
Oh my god!
Shit.
At this point, Justice intervenes okay, well, it was a good try, he says. And he reaches out and he touches Zevran's forehead. Suddenly, Elian, you are in a bedroom at the top of a tower. It's beautifully appointed, with a 4-poster canopied bed on one wall and a spectacular view of the mountains in 3 directions. There's a desk, untidy, covered in papers and books, a raven cooing in a cage in the corner, and a set of open doors. You see Lannon through one on a balcony, holding a note in his hands. Took you long enough, he says. He sounds miserable.
Lannon?
Yeah.
Are you alright?
No, not really. He turns and he looks at you. He says, This was not a good moment.
I think Elian goes over and just puts a hand on his arm. I'm sorry.
He says, It wasn't your fault. He holds up the note. It was my fault.
What are you talking about?
He looks down at the note, but he's not really looking at it. He's memorized this letter. Inquisitor, he reads, we regret to inform you that the army that marched on Wycombe did not stop to heed your appointed ambassador despite my best efforts. The alienage has been purged and your clan destroyed. I have sent with this letter the artifacts that once belonged to Clan Llewellyn. Your keeper urged me to return them to you with her dying breath and to beg you not to blame yourself for what has happened here.
Lennon.
He says, this was the first time I thought. And he looks back at the balcony like, this was the first time.
No.
I didn't, of course. I had to deal with Corypheus. And by the time the war was over, it had numbed.
I'm sorry.
He says, you don't need to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. He wipes his cheeks with his palm and he just says, can we get out of here? Can I follow you out?
Hell yes, let's do this.
Lennon nods and sets the paper sort of almost reverently down on his desk, and he says, right, let's go. Cassandra,
Yep, here I am.
a vase crashes into the wall by your head.
I definitely, flinch and try to see where it came from.
I won't let you touch me! You're in a small inn, by the look of it. Wooden walls and floors, small beds with lumpy hay-stuffed mattresses, a single window overlooking a dirty street. Talgan stands in front of you, his hands outstretched opposite his mother, who picks up a teacup and throws it at him. Talgan swears and dodges just in time for it to avoid hitting his head. You left me behind, you vile man, you left me behind! Mom, I was just at work. I told you I was going to be gone for a few days. The contract and Azariel, remember? How could you leave me behind? How could you? I gave you a son and you just left! Talgan opens his mouth, shuts it. Pain clouds his expression just as it twists in the center of his chest. Over the past few months, she'd been fading, forgetting things, but she's mistaking him for his father? I needed your help and you left. I gave you everything I was and you left. My family disinherited me because of you. Mom, please, Talgan says, voice quavering. I wish I'd never met you, she shrieks and picks up a whole teapot, getting ready to throw it. I wish I'd never been taken in by your lies. The teapot sails past Talgan's head. He takes the opportunity and lunges, grabbing his mother around the middle, holding her arms tight against her body. She shrieks and kicks and hisses and spits and very nearly bites Talgan when his hands get close enough to her face. You promised me, she wails, thrashing and kicking. You promised me and I believed you. I believed you. I wish I'd never met you. I wish you'd never put that damn child inside of me. Talgan grips harder, eyes burning with tears, but he says nothing. He is determined. He will keep her still until she calms down. He will make this better for her somehow. He has to. He has to.
Cass just, looks at Faith like, oh no.
Faith is like, why are all your friends so sad?
Trauma, I don't know. We'll unpack that later. Also, how is a dwarf in the Fade? Talgan? How are you here?
Talgan stares up at you, and he looks, the expression on his face shifts. At first, he's, confused and astonished, and then he suddenly looks, very vulnerable, very embarrassed, and he says, what are you doing here? Please, can you just get out? Can you just give us a minute?
We need to get out. The rest of our friends are also trapped. We need to go find them.
Do you not see the old woman screaming in my arms? He says, please, I just need a minute.
Okay, I see her. Okay, I'll give you a minute.
Faith kind of stares doubtfully at you. She says, it's not going to be a minute, right? This whole construct was made by a sloth demon. Everything he's designed is to keep you guys contained. It's not just going to be a minute. He's going to be here forever unless you intervene.
Of course he is. And then I'm gonna turn around and, sigh, turn around and, Talgan, we have to go now.
He says, have some fucking compassion. I just need a minute.
I can't give you a minute because it will keep stealing minutes from you.
I don't understand. What are you talking about?
We're in the Fade. It's a sloth demon. It's not real. Come on.
Roll willpower, Faith. So with an 11, Cassandra, you don't manage to break through. He looks angry. He looks heartbroken. He says, what the hell are you even doing here? Get out! This is not for you!
I know it's not for me. I came here to get you out. I also was trapped like you. We have to go, Talgan.
She's my mother. Get the hell out! And Faith says, I don't think it's...
I just like look at her like, Faith, what can we do?
She says, well, what we have to do. And she reaches out and she touches his forehead and... Sabre, you're on a roof. It's dusk, you think, but it's hard to tell. The sky is so full of ash that it blots out the sun. Far below you, a city is burning. A few steps away, the massive body of a dragon lies dying on the stone, one wing shattered, one eye run through with an arrow. And a few feet in front of you, your brother is arguing with that same human you saw in the chantry. Ren, let me, the human says through gasping breaths. The two of them are bloodied, breathless. Ren's quiver is empty. The human's blade is dark with blood. It should be me. If I'm going to be a king, I want to be a good king. All that trouble to put you on the throne and now you want to kill yourself? Hey, this whole thing was your idea. They laugh, but not for very long and not with any joy. They both know what's about to happen. Sorry, Alistair, he says. I can't let the future king of Ferelden off himself. Not when there's still an expendable option. You're not expendable, Alistair answers at once, but Ren keeps talking like he didn't hear him. You'll take care of Fenharel, won't you? Alistair swallows visibly. His fingers grip and loosen around the hilt of his sword. His shoulders sag. He looks defeated. More than that, he just looks sad. Yeah, of course I will. Until Zevran and I... Ren chokes. He looks down, squints his eyes shut. Despite the blood and the ash and the sweat smearing his face, in this moment he looks so young. He was barely 19 when he was taken, and he was not yet 20 when he died. Ren, Alistair says brokenly. Tell Zevran I was thinking about him right until the moment it was over, Ren says. I will. Thank you, Lethalon, for everything. Alistair swallows a knot in his throat. Make a watch over your path, my friend. The creators watch over yours, Ren says with as much of a smile as he can muster. He turns forward, his fingers flex around his twin daggers. Eyes up, steady hand. You can do this. For a split second, Sabre, you're not here. You're in a forest. And you remember this moment, Yariel, though time has made it indistinct. You were about 10, Ren just barely 14. He's holding your elbow up as you draw back on a bow for the very first time. Yes, you remember this moment. The first time Ren taught you how to fire a bow. Is this what he was thinking of right before it happened? Eyes up, Ren tells your younger self. Steady hand. You can do this. You don't remember if you hit the target that first time you fired. The scene is gone a moment later in any case. Eyes up. Steady hand, Ren whispers to himself. You're back on the roof, in the storm of ash and echoing distant battle cries. Tears are burning his eyes and constricting his throat. He's so scared, so young and so incredibly scared. He doesn't want to die. You can do this. You can do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. Ren races forward, swings the blade high and buries it deep in the back of the dragon's skull. The shockwave, the light, the sound, the force nearly knocks you flat. He burns like a beacon, a shaft of light towering in a pillar in the sky, breaking through the smoke and the ash. He screams and drives the blade deeper, and then it's over. He's on his back, dead, and everything's quiet.
I think my fists are clenched so tight I'm bleeding. As soon as it comes and it's still, I think I run over screaming.
He does not answer.
I shake his shoulders and I'm like, Ren, get up now. Get up now. You cannot do this to me again. You have to get up.
His eyes are they're staring past you. His eyes are open, but they're not seeing you.
Ren, this isn't real.
Yeah, nothing doing. If he's, logically he didn't die at this moment, right? Because he was taken to Weishaupt alive and he was kept in the crypt, but right at this moment, he has convinced himself almost that he is dead.
I think I've just got big ugly tears. I'm shaking his shoulders, trying to be get up. You have to get up. We have to get out of here. Think about... If you can't think about me, think about Zevran.
Roll willpower faith. You do your best, Sabre. You're shaking him, but this is such a powerful memory for him. He ran toward his own death. This is as terrifying and as painful as it gets. And despite your desperate objections, nothing happens. And then, from behind you,
I whirl around.
the dragon, the corpse of this dragon, is lifting its head, shadows rising off of its flesh. Garas Quenathra is Elven for, what are you doing here?
I turn and stare it straight in the eyes, and I say, I am saving my brother.
The dragon sort of cants its head to the side. Blood is still running out of its eye that has the arrow impaled in it. Your brother is mine.
No.
Justice comes scrambling up behind you and he says, I don't believe it.
Can I make a lunge for the sword that's in it?
In its head?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Make a dexterity test, I guess.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I only have one mode, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, we know.
You're gonna fight an archdemon single-handed. Why not?
It's fine. Ren did it.
Ren was a warden!
I mean, the thing is, the archdemon's not expecting this,
Right.
right? You have caught the archdemon by surprise. You reach out for its head, and you rip the blades out, and you recognize it immediately. It's familiar in your hand. It's Vir Suladin, the weapon that Liliana gave you. The demon lets out this hideous roar and staggers a couple feet away.
I get up slowly and I'm wielding it in my hand, and I said, you will get out.
The dragon sort of lets out this low, breathy chuckle. He says, you presume to order me. And behind you, Justice says, I know you. Hey friends, Tessa here. If you're desperate to hear the next episode, chances are good that you can by joining our Discord server. We post links to all episodes in pre-release, and you can even chat with us and listen live as we record. Join us by going to bit.ly/CFCDiscord. For more information on the show, character biographies, and links to social media, head to our website, critfail.club or critfailclub.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Crit Fail Club does not advertise at all, so if you like what you hear, tell a friend who might also like it, make a post on social media about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Full episodes are available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly/CFC channel, or wherever you get your podcasts.